So as was promised last week, guys, I've put a website together. It's called poleshiftnews.com. No spaces in between Poleshift News. It's in its primitive form at the moment, but this will be the place where all the real data will get put up. So check it out from time to time. We're still trying to figure out the data logger. We've got the information there, the data coming out of the the magnetometer station as we want it. It's just a case now of logging it and graphing it. So I'm sure it won't be that much longer now before we get some real time tracking on the magnetic North Pole. So by now you've probably seen on the news, probably not as much as what you would want to hear about these Arctic temperatures turning up at strange latitudes over the Earth. Japan, Southern Islands, etc. Well, it's down to two things. One, there's a low solar output of sunspots. We can see it here. It's been dropping off for the last 36 years, roughly by about 50 per solar cycle. So, we're around about here in the solar cycle 24, and we're probably peaking at the toppest around about 100. Solar cycle 23 was about 150. Solar cycle 22 was around 200. So we can, easily make a comparison here that we're losing 50 every time, or thereabouts. So, I would suggest solar cycle 25 would be around 50, and solar cycle 26. 25, and if it follows this pattern, solar cycle 27 would be 0, and at that point we'll probably be in the same territory as what we was back in the Maunder minimum and the Dalton minimum. Do I think it will go that far? It will be 36 years away before we reach 0 sunspots. No, and if you remember the Penn report that I used to go on about a lot, that said solar cycle 24 would see an end of sunspots around 2015. Well, we're still getting them. It's obvious we're still getting sunspots. You can see it on the disk. Let's have a look at it. So as you can see, we're still getting sunspots. They're still very much equatorial for my liking, during we're just on the back of the the main part in the solar system, the maximum. For whatever reason that is, I clearly don't know. I don't suppose NASA's got anything to add on this either. But the one thing we can denote, especially from this graph, is that when sunspots fall to 0, the climate on the Earth does likewise and falls. As with the sunspots themselves, we can see in the Dalton minimum and the Maunder minimum here. So for the second reason why we're getting sub-zero temperatures globally at low latitudes such as Japan and its southern islands and all those other continents, and why America is experiencing those Arctic temperatures that they are, is simply because the magnetic pole is shifting. And as it shifts, it's tearing apart the magnetic North Pole, and it will form two poles at some point. And that is why, in the centre, it is warmer. Like I've said in other videos, this fits the magnetic anomaly chart perfectly. Ask yourself, what other reason would cause this region to be warmer and the other two either side of it cooler? Ask yourself why one side of this W3 temperature map is showing colder region over the Antarctic and not so cold over the other side of it. It's because where the coldest areas are is where the strongest magnetic fields are, and that's the same for the Arctic region over the northern hemisphere. This will continue to get worse, and that's why I don't believe, despite the low sunspot numbers, we could be seeing more lower latitude temperatures, and in the higher numbers. We're not far off the same over the Arctic temperature if we can get that up, minus 37.9 and minus 38.9. You know, they're virtually the same, and really speaking, the Antarctic region should be slightly warmer than what it is, because that is just now leaning back towards the sun on the Earth's axis tilt of around 24 degrees that it does annually, and we're not seeing, you know, we're not seeing that on the temperature variations globally. So guys, you know, I'm going to wrap it up here. Don't forget to check out poleshiftnews.com. When all the data finally gets configured, that's where the real-time tracking is going to take place. So, you know, call in from time to time. We're also going to add other information, like what happens to planets when they lose the magnetic fields, and what has happened as far as scientists that have studied the magnetic North Pole during a reversal, what's happened to the Earth. This information could be very valuable to yourselves, your families and friends in the not too distant future. It's like I said, I think we're going to be seeing this pole shift during our lifetimes. I don't think we're too far away from it, and that is why I emphasise the importance to, you know, chuck some funding into this channel now more than ever. We need to get that magnetometer station up and running. We need to find out how close we are to that critical 40 degrees and test that theory. If when those poles do lean over or migrate to you know, a grand total of 40 degrees, whether they do, like the experiments, go into the weaker field magnetic field lines, and at that point increase speed through the reversal. Now, you've heard other scientists say that this could take 1,000 years before we actually go through that reversal, and then during the reversal it'd take hundreds of years. It's absolute crap, guys. We're on the verge of seeing that magnetic pole reverse, and during that reversal it could be a month or so during its full reversal, and that's if we're lucky. I'm going to say it could be a little bit longer than that this time, because on average it used to go through a reversal every 350,000 years. This time it's took 780,000 years. So, you know, something slowed down in the mechanism of magnetic reversals. I don't want to put fear out there by you know, just putting you in the direction of what happened to Mars when it lost its magnetic field, but scientists believe that when the field went down for a prolonged period of time, the atmosphere was stripped away off the surface of that planet, and that could be the case for the Earth. You know, if that is the case and the magnetic reversal doesn't go through a full reversal, that could be what we have in store for us here on this Earth. And just because you know, the last magnetic reversal was 780,000 years ago, it shouldn't mean that this should be taken lightly. This is, as I've said, the untalked about subject in human history. This is the main event that really should be on the news at least once a week, in my view, because it is really important. It's shifting the climate globally. We're seeing the animals that rely on the magnetic poles being at full strength to navigate over the planet. You know, their little bits of magnetite in their brain, is it, that they rely on. This is why we're seeing mass beachings of various species across the range, you know, and also migratory birds turning up in regions where they don't usually turn up. So, you know, it's all happening right now, guys. It's just not being, for some reason, talked about as much as it should be. And like I say, this topic of magnetic pole shift will come into its own, but I feel when it does, it will be too late. So, you know, we're seeing early signs of it, and I have correlated the temperature, and the magnetic anomaly of the planet, looking very similar. And I do say that we can still predict where the poles are and how that splitting of the magnetic north pole is going, just by looking at temperature. So I'll leave it there, guys. There's a link down there. Like I said, this channel really does need more support now than it ever has done before. I just hope that you feel the same. There are still a lot of people, probably 98% of the population of this earth, that are completely unaware about this problem. So, against all the odds that I've got here, I'm doing my best. I'm now working on that website. I'm working on trying to figure out the program on the logger so that we get the data. That will be going up on the website, and I'm also keeping the YouTube channel updated with the magnetic pole shift and occasionally some other topics that are important. Just want to also bring your attention to what has happened in Venezuela with regards to the food crisis at the moment. We're starting to see early signs of economic collapse, guys, in these less wealthier countries. So, I would definitely look into that. It's a real crisis, a real situation opening up over there with regards to, something that we should in a third world have plentiful of and stocks of, and why a global organisation hasn't gone into emergency mode already and started sending food aid over to Venezuela is beyond me. I really don't know. But guys, this is why we say, guys like me on channels like this say, you have to put up some food for yourselves, because with all these anomalies taking place, how long will it be before your luck runs out and you find yourself in a situation similar to some of these people, like in China now, that are losing their stock, the livestock, their sheep, their cattle. What about some of these places where they've been hit by tsunamis? Never thought it would happen to them. All of a sudden, cities, towns wiped out in seconds. We all think the same. We all will be there one day thinking the same. Well, we never seen this coming and we never thought it would happen. And that is the reason why you should make some form of preparations now for yourselves and family, so that you don't have to wait weeks, if not months, for your government to come round and give you some form of assistance, if there is assistance to be given. Guys, I'll leave it here. The link's down below. Can't emphasise now more than ever, guys, that this channel should be supported with some form of financial backing. So the link is there. As always, guys, you take care. Bye for now.